everybody. Welcome to the No More Heroin Survivor Series. Tonight we have a special broadcast with my sponsorship family, and we just lost Joe. We've been having a lot of technical issues with Facebook. While we let the audience build, I'm going to play Joe Nestor in the background. Nestor Nation, how many times?
Fuck. Joe, you can't curse.
Get the chords, baby.
Doubt yourself.
You can't hear it? Can you hear us?
How many times are you going to repeat the same mistakes before you finally experience
Welcome, everybody.
enough pain?
Hi, Monica.
You want to make a change.
Hi, Joni. I'd like to welcome our YouTube viewers as well. Those tuning in to No More Heroin Survivor Series YouTube channel, welcome.
How many times have you invested in luck? You find that penny facing heads down, will turn around and flip it up. Don't you believe in the fake? Believe in your faith. Now watch how everything just seems to fall into place. And you ain't even gotta try, so we win in the race. Every time we play, we know be receiving your grace and grace. Now keep me from the wicked, protect me from the snares. And help me spread this message to anybody who cares. Cause I wrestle with the lions and tigers and bears. I'm wearing the armor of
welcome, everybody. Please share this out.
many times that you pray in the name of times that you shown in the same love that he shows to you. How many times? How many times? How many times have you prayed in the name of? How many times have you shown in the same love that he shows to you? How many times? How many times? How many times you gonna lie to yourself? How many times you been denying yourself? How many times? How many times? How many times you look inside of yourself and you're ashamed of what you see, but you don't ask for no help. You'd rather drown in misery and take that rum off the shelf. You pour another shot and blame it on the hand you were dealt. But you forget about the pain that all your family felt while you were running in them streets like a slave for a bag of dope. Your parents worried that their baby might not make it home. They lie awake and they wait and they crying by the phone, praying that they don't get the call if the baby is gone. I know it hurts, but everything that I'm speaking is true. I only say it because I know it, I used to be you. But I made it and I'm grateful I'm one of the few. Now I'm headed back just to say that you can make it too. How many times have you prayed in the name of? How many times have you shown in the same love that he shows to you? How many times? How many times? How many times? How many times have you prayed in the name of? How many times have you shown in the same love that he shows to you? How many times? How many times? How many times? It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many times you almost got it right. People aren't going to keep track.
Thank you, Amber. I love you.
Neither should
My
you.
homegirl.
It's more important that you learn from them, you grow from them, and that you keep pushing forward. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many times you got it wrong. What truly matters is how many times you get it right. It doesn't matter how many times you've been beaten down. It doesn't matter how many people believe in you now. All that matters, you believe in yourself. There's a reason that you're breathing and it's keeping you round. And everything that you've been going through is part of a plan. But I know it's hard to trust it and you can't understand. Believe me, we crash and we burn, we live and we learn. If you could only see the blessings that we get in return, you'd be like, I go through good times when I know I'm in trouble. I'll rise to the action of God. How many times have you prayed in the name of? How many times have you shown in the same love?
Hi, Kathy Garrison. I love you.
How many times? How many times have you prayed in the name?
Hi, Tracy.
How many times have you shown in the same love?
Renee Cooper. I love you. Thank you.
How many times? How many times?
Hi, Danielle. Love you.
Never give up on yourself.
Never give up on yourself.
Stop doubting yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself,
Nestor Nation, how many times? Go give him a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Have a chance to do it.
We all have a chance to get it right. Welcome, everyone, to the No More Heroin Survivor Series. The Survivor Series is an original product of No More Heroin. And we showcase inspirational testimonies of people who have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds and are defying the odds to have a life of purpose and destiny today. And tonight, I have 3 gentlemen that are in my sponsorship family. The Dragon Slayers is our sponsorship family of men and women, and we love and support on each other. It's like a family tree, and it starts with Paulie. Paulie has 33 years of sobriety. He's got a wealth of knowledge in recovery. He was supposed to be on here, but he was having some technical issues. Then he had an emergency. He had to go take care of. So we'll have him on again at a future date. I'd like to introduce first my current sponsor, Spicy Mike Nussbaum. How are you, Mike?
What's good?
And then Joe McClendon at the bottom has been my sponsor as well. Both of these men have worked with me, done step work, and seen me when I came back into the rooms almost 7 months ago. And they helped love me out of that dark place. So, hi, Joe. How are you?
What's going on, guys?
And this young man here is Mark Klitschkin. He is my roommate. He's also a sponsee brother. We all have completed the steps. We sponsor other men and women. We are involved with our sponsorship family, which means we meet weekly. We have a group chat. We support each other when we go out to speak, do service commitments, do H&I hospitals and institutions. We are there for each other no matter what, and it's changed my outlook on my life, my role in my recovery, and given me a second chance. So I want to thank all you guys for being here for me, and it's really changed my life for the better, and I thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity.
So it's Spicy. If you would, please introduce yourself and give people a brief introduction of who you are, where you're from.
Yeah. So Mike Nussbaum, originally from northern New Jersey. Been in Florida about 9 years, a little over 9 years, via the great New Jersey court system. I was kindly asked to leave the state due to charges out of my control. And a drug addiction that I had, not sure I had at that time. I wasn't really ready to give up, and came down to Florida to get sober, and decided to stay. Super, super, super grateful that Florida had what I needed, met people I needed to get what I needed, and been a proud member of Cocaine Anonymous in the rooms for a little over 9 years, where I met this fine gentleman below, Joseph.
Thank you, Joe. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm an alcoholic. My name is Joe. I'm from Baltimore.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joey.
Joey.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Been down in Florida almost 10 years now. I have over 9 years of sobriety.
9 years, yes, sir.
Yeah, been a part of the fellowship. For the duration of me being here. Took a long time for me to understand what it meant to really be a part of what this fellowship offers us. But I'm very grateful, and thank you, Higgy, for inviting me on here tonight. I appreciate it, man, very much. Anything I can probably say or help to give back in any kind of way, I'm glad to be here. So I thank you for this, bro.
Thank you both very, very much. Mark.
Yeah, well, my name is Mark. I'm from New York originally. I was born in Russia originally, but I was raised in New York. I moved when I was about 2 to the States. My sobriety date is August 6th, 2019, so I'm coming up on 9 months. Spicy is my sponsor.
That's right.
Yeah, he is. He kind of saved my life, so I'm going to be forever grateful to that. And yeah, I mean, it's been a long ride. I've been in Florida for about 5 years. to say the least. I'm coming up on 9 months, so I did not stay sober in those 5 years. But you know, I mean, it's trials and tribulations, and we're still here. So
Absolutely. Well, I love you. I love you all. Thank you for being here and supporting me and sharing a message of recovery. I want to throw up this meme again real quick. And when we get to the process, you know, start talking about what the 12 steps of recovery are and how it's impacted our lives and the value of sponsorship. Because I found that being a sponsor has changed my perspective on a lot of different things. This meme says it must never be forgotten that the purpose of Alcoholics Anonymous is to sober up alcoholics. There is no religious or spiritual requirement for membership. No demands are made on anyone. An experience is offered which members may accept or reject. That is up to them. Spicy. How has the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous changed your life? Now, I want to say that I respect. We all respect all 12-step fellowships. AA is in the 12-step is what we practice, you know, specifically, and we attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and Cocaine Anonymous meetings. We all belong to the same Cocaine Anonymous fellowship, and that's where I've found my home recently. So, Spicy, if you would please tell us how the 12 steps has impacted your life.
So, I mean, the 12 steps have impacted my life in more ways than I could possibly describe on this this live stream. You know, at the end of the day, the life that I had before was just kind of a shell, you know, existing, floating through day by day, trying to figure out a purpose in my life. And until the 12 steps, and I actually admitted to myself and to my innermost self in the first step, right, that I wasn't a true alcoholic and a drug addict, that you know, then recovery is possible, right? Without a problem, admitting that there is a problem, there's no solution, right? You know, and thank God there is a solution for the problem that I have. You know, and the 12 steps, you know, essentially gave me a reason to continue with the life that I thought at one point was pointless, right? It gave me purpose. It gave me an opportunity to see who the real Mike Nussbaum was. It gave my parents a son back, gave my sister a brother back. It gave my wife a husband. I'm not sure if she's thrilled about that, but that's what happened. You know, it gave me an opportunity to be the person I was supposed to always be, in my opinion. Right, the 12 steps gives you an opportunity that in my opinion, no other program has ever given me. Right, I've tried the therapy, I've tried the rehabs, I've tried the marijuana maintenance, I've tried the drug programs, and the 12 steps gave me an opportunity to change my life for the better. And thank God for the fellowship and guys like my first sponsor, who no longer sober, but you know, at the end of the day, the 12 steps gave me an opportunity to be, in my opinion, who I should have been from the beginning, and got me back to the person that I was supposed to be. So I'm really grateful for that, and good sponsorship and good fellowship like we're doing now, and the sponsorship family we have currently combined with the Dragon Slayers.
Absolutely. Joe, how has the 12 steps impacted your life?
Well, it has impacted my life in like several areas, man. First, what happened was it allowed me to understand that I wasn't crazy. For a lot of my life, you know, I thought that I suffered from something that, you know, I couldn't recover from, you know. And when I got to Florida, it was explained to me what an alcoholic was and what, you know, had done to me spiritually. So what I realized, first and foremost, that I was spiritually immature and I used drugs and alcohol as a reason to fix it. At first, I didn't understand the chemical imbalance is what I like to call it, right? Of running to something that I know was going to destroy me, and I had no power to stop that, right? So what the steps done for me, it allowed me to receive that power and understanding who I am as an alcoholic, who I am as a person, who I am as just you know, the spiritual condition that I suffered from. And the 12 step allowed me to understand who I am coming out of that, right? Like coming out of that fog of drinking and drugging and hurting people and, you know, all of the different things that I had to do to get here, right? But it gave me a life of purpose which means like it was like this turnaround thing. It was like this power that I always lacked. And then I received this power through just becoming honest with myself and understanding too that I suffered from a spiritual condition, not necessarily a drug addiction. So it gave me all of these different like avenues, to in order to like be a better man, to be a better person, to now have a God in my life that I didn't want anything to that I thought didn't want anything to do with me, right? So that's what it done for a guy like me. It just opened a lot of things up in my life, as far as my vision and my sight and my hearing, right? To where as though I can now see that drugs and alcohol was bad. It wasn't good for a guy like me, right? So at the end of the day, now I can play the tape back is what they once told me to do in treatment. And I had no understanding of what that meant, right? So now I know what that means because I have that awakening spiritually. So that's what the steps really did for me, all in a nutshell. You know what I mean?
That's a great share, Mark.
Shit. Well,
shit.
The 12 steps, man. It took me a long time to get, to actually get the 12 steps. You feel me? I remember going into my first treatment center. I went to Las Vegas, and every bed had a recovery book, which is an AA literature. And I remember reading the doctor's opinion, and it scared the shit out of me, right? Because it was basically explaining everything that I had. And it took me away from the program for a long time. And and once I came to Florida, it took me a long time to get sober, and to actually have consistent, time. But the minute I started doing the steps, it made me free. Like spiritually, it gave me endless amount of potential to do anything I wanted to do, and without having the use of drugs, and have faith in my sponsor, which is like Spicy. And I would have never thought that I would have met him, like that I could relate to in so many ways, because like coming from me, like we didn't talk about our feelings, like we didn't talk about emotions, like we left everything outside and once we came to the house, we never talked about it. So I'm going to be truly forever grateful for the 12 steps. It saved my life, and the only thing we could do is just keep passing it on, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So.
Living by spiritual principles. That's what the program is about. My sponsors have all told me that it's my job to take you through the step and place your hand in God's hand so that you can go help another alcoholic or drug addict. How hard was it for you to adapt to the spiritual principles, Spicy?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
We're talking about the spiritual principles of the 12 steps. How hard was it for you to adapt the spiritual principles to your life?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, right? Going from not being spiritual whatsoever to have put all these spiritual things in my life, it was just next to impossible, right? When you have to change everything, you got to change everything. Being spiritual wasn't exactly a large leap for me. I just had to ask for things that I needed in sobriety rather than what I needed when I was out there doing what I needed to do to get what I needed to get, right? It was always a foxhole prayer. God, please, if you get me out of this cop car, I swear I'll never do it again. God, please don't let the dope dealer rob me again. Please let him give me the real deal this time.
I'll never do this again.
All those spiritual principles. Right. I'll never do it again, I swear.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had another thought.
No, it's kind of like choppy, so I'm trying to.
How is it coming across to everybody that's watching? Or can you hear us okay? We're really having trouble with the internet tonight. Anthony Valletta says, adapting principles to our lives takes time. We make mistakes and we try it again. Anthony's got 35 years
True.
of sobriety. Joe, tell us about the spiritual principles and how you apply them in your life.
Well, it simply basically comes down to two things, Higgy. Whether I want to live or die, right?
Yeah.
So in the principles for me, right? And like the guy said, we make mistakes and we try again. None of this for me has been perfect in any means, as far as recovery is concerned, as far as my relationships, as far as my personal life. But we try again, man. You know, the gift that I have received, especially from these principles and from the steps, that outweighs, I think, anything that I was really bargaining or looking for, was that obsession to use was lifted from me, right? So applying the spiritual principles and understanding that that was something that I couldn't do beforehand, has really made my life that much easier to live under those spiritual conditions. Like, it really makes it necessarily not too hard, but not too easy for me to understand that, like, if I'm going to be a shit bag, then there's going to be consequences to that, you know? And if I'm going to do things out of the ordinary that I did when I was getting high, I probably will get high again, you know? So to live under these spiritual principles is not really even like, it's not like a conscious decision. It's something that you wake up and say, I want to live today. You know, and so you follow these guidelines and this understanding of what the program really means to you. You know what I mean? So the principles to the program is what that is, and it teaches me how to live every day. And I try to do it to the best of my ability. You know, that's what I got.
Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with Spicy. Like when I was out there using, right, I was living the most unspiritual life I could probably like ever imagine. You know, and then once you come into recovery, everyone around you is like living this fit spiritual life, and everyone's doing like the right thing. Like it became like really like unappealing to me because that's like not what I was used to for a long time. And when I started doing my steps, like one of the first things I had to realize is I had to get honest, right? Like if I don't get honest with myself and with others with others, then I'm screwed. Because if I'm not able to admit to what I'm either truly feeling or like what's happened to me in the past for me to get over this hump, you know, like it's going to be very hard for me to move on to the next step. And it's not only being honest, like you have to live spiritually, like in every aspect of your life. You can't just be like, you know, just because no one's watching, right, doesn't mean that you don't have to do a good thing, right? And that's called integrity. You got to keep that with yourself. And the more good that you do and you don't ask for, like the more blessings will follow. And I've had that come in fruition so many times, you know. But like that's what I think about that.
I think for myself, coming back from that deep dark pit of despair, loneliness, and brokenness, that having any type of connection was very appealing for me. It's something that I wanted to have, and becoming involved with a group of men that have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body was really, really attractive, because when I looked at you men, you guys had joy in your life, you know, and we started working steps. You know, the first step is the most critical, crucial, you know, that honesty step. You know, how unmanageable was my life, and how powerless was I, and was I able to admit to my innermost self that my life was totally out of control and that I could never drink or drug again. You know, getting rid of the reservations, you know, that I've been carrying, you know, over the years, you know, and letting relapse be an option for me. I had to eradicate all of that from my conscious thought. So getting honest, the first step of recovery, the spiritual principle is honesty. Getting honest, you know, brutally, gut-wrenching honest about who I am and what I wanted in my life and what I didn't. You guys, having had long-term recovery under your belts, had something that I wanted. you know, and I clung to that, and I kept showing up. You guys kept loving on me, and as that connection with God grew, my connection to you guys grew. And through that connection, more connection, and we were able to absorb each other's energy and knowledge. And you know that's a spiritual experience for me. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I thought you were gonna ask another question. That's why, but
Yeah, right. Like the same.
but yeah, Higgy, I mean, you hit it on the nose, man. Like this is a program of promotion. You know, like it's when you're around
Attraction rather than promotion.
attraction, yeah, attraction rather. I'm sorry, attraction rather than promotion. So when you're around people that has what you want, man, and like a lifestyle that you're foreign to,
Yeah.
it's an attractive thing, bro. Like
Yeah.
Just being a part of the people that I have in my life, and understanding that I was very immature, as a man, as a person, and being able to grow out some of the thoughts that I had. Because listen, when I was in Baltimore, like, because I'm originally from Baltimore, right? It was like this 4-block radius thing that I lived in. And those ideas and those thoughts was the only thing that I knew to be true. I was taught, like, growing up, that real men didn't cry. We didn't tell them certain things. We just had to bottle up our feelings, and that was the way that we were supposed to live. We couldn't be vulnerable, right? We couldn't tell how we really felt. So through drugs and alcohol, that was my relief. That was what I needed in order to get through those things most of my life, right? So at the end of the day, the program was attractive to me because I could finally take off the mask, right? I could finally say, you know what? These guys don't really know who I am. I'm from a whole nother state. I can be, the person that, God wants me to be, man. And the attractive part to that was the guys like you, guys like Spicy. You know what I mean? The guys that, was basically there for me when I was a newcomer walking through the door and had no clue at how this worked. You know what I'm saying? So, you're right, man, when you say that, the spiritual part of the program has a lot to do with the people that's involved, the people that, you're attracted to, man, because listen, it's an old saying that says, show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are.
That's
right?
Yep.
So that's basically
True.
what I try to do today, man, just to be attraction to other people that, that's in those grips of addiction, that there's a way out, man. That's it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It sure is.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, look, like Joe hit it on the head, right? Like you really are who you surround yourself with. You know what I mean? Like if you surround yourself with people who don't do anything for their recovery, eventually you're gonna fall into that pitfall because you are a product of your environment, and that's normal for everybody, But yeah, today for me, like I need to stick around with people that have a full recovery on their shoulders, and they keep moving to be better every day. Because like if I start falling back into my old habits, like I'm gonna start using it again, and that's like inevitable. You know what I mean? And that was my track record. I would always stop doing what's being asked of me, and stop doing the right thing, and I would always go back to what I was doing every time, and it would never change. And it became pivotal for me when I actually started thinking about what I was doing. And like that took a long time for me to gain that like habit, because I would always do everything on impulse, always on impulse, always on whatever I'm feeling that day or whatever I'm going through at the time. And now I actually could think about, go back a little bit and,
thank you.
Like think about my thoughts and like where I want to go, because I could either go A or B, right? I could be negative or positive. And like, I would always try to be positive. Like that's the only way that I could keep growing spiritually, physically and mentally. So that's what I think for sure.
Absolutely. If you hang out with lames, you will eventually develop a limp. That's the way I look at it.
That's a fact.
Because we absorb people's
That's
energy.
true.
There's something else. I had
So you got to watch out for staying you got to watch out hanging out for Mark too much, Iggy.
You know what?
We're good for each other. We keep each other on each other's
Crazy,
toes.
bro. So
And-
hot over here.
I guess yeah. You can't get any more lamer if you're hanging lame, right?
I'm not limping yet.
Yo, Spicy, go get a haircut, man.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, we got Paulie in the house.
Paulie T. Paulie made it.
What up?
How are you, Paulie? Everyone, Paulie, this is Paulie Testing. He is the grand sponsor. He is the one that created our sponsorship family. Everything emanates from him. He's 33 years been clean and sober, and has a wealth of knowledge in recovery and life. And you're in the dark, Paulie. What are you doing?
Hold on 1 second. I'm walking out to my truck.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Paulie is the owner of Drug Sweeper. He trains German Shepherds, and they go out sniffing drugs in the airports and sober livings or the treatment centers. He's very well connected to the recovery community, throughout South Florida and in the Philadelphia area. You're dark, Paulie, but that's all right. Please introduce yourself, Paulie. There you go.
There you go.
Hey, I'm Paulie.
Paulie. Oops.
Sorry I got out here late, man, because I don't know if anybody told you what was happening, but I had to run out and help somebody.
You do a lot of that, Paulie. When people they know that they can reach out to you because you've been doing it so many years, and you've helped a lot of people. And it started out, in Kensington, didn't it?
Well, the beautiful part is that the person survived, so that's all that mattered, really. So, but I was close to the location from where I lived, so that's why I shot over here to help.
So please, give us a brief introduction of who you are and where you're from.
So I'm Paulie. I am a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I'm sober today by the grace of God and the miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous. My sober date is March 20th, 1987. And I got clean and sober when I was 23 years old. I was one and done. I basically finally hit a spiritual bottom. Didn't want to live anymore. And there was one alternative. I either blew my brains out or I got some help, and I chose to get some help.
We lost Spike.
So the rest is kind of history.
We've been talking about the 12 steps. How has the 12 steps impacted your life?
Well, look, it's not the cure of all cures short term, but if you stick this thing out and trust the process and continue to do the steps, you're going to change spiritually, and that's the thing. It's, that's why they say it's a forever thing, and a lot of people just, they think, oh, I've got through the steps. I'm cured. No, you're not cured. It don't work that way. It talks about it in the book, right? All we have is a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual conditioning.
Absolutely.
And that's the bottom line. What am I doing for myself spiritually every day? I mean, my day consists of the first 2 hours. I sit there and do what I need to do before I even leave the house.
And that you created that, the routine and stuck with it, and it's worked for you every day, 33 years of your life. That just it's mind-boggling to wrap my head around that much recovery.
But the thing was, Higgy, is that it started out with intervals of 15 minutes in the morning, right? because first off, when I first got sober, I had a hard time sitting still with myself.
Same here.
Right. So I did it in small intervals, and I started doing that stuff routinely, for 15 minutes. And then gradually it ended up a half an hour, and as I started to change spiritually, now I'm there an hour, and here I am 33 years later. And the first 2 hours of my morning, are doing my reading, doing my meditation, sending messages out to over close to 400 people between groups and individual people that I send it out to every day.
Yep. Every morning we get a daily reading from you. What does your routine look like in the morning, Joe?
I would say it's basically the same. I get up and say my prayer, and I ask God to guide my thoughts and my actions for that day, and and I go out and I go to work and I try to help as many people as I can that comes across my path. I don't send out 1,000 text messages, but there's only one Paulie though, so. But my routine is the same, man. I just try to stick to what got me to this point in my life. It's basically about helping other people, that keeps you sober, man. Once you've been through the steps and you've had a spiritual awakening as a result of that, the main job is for us to be of service to other people. So that's what I try to keep in mind more so than anything, to be able to, like, if somebody needs me, I can be of service to them. That's it. You know what I mean? Other than that, my day looks the same. It's like a lot of normal people, but besides, giving, God the first option of the day and asking them to tame my thinking, I usually have pretty good days after that,
Mm-hmm. And able to, you're in a spiritual fit state of mind, body, and spirit, and you can handle whatever life throws at you at that point because you're in a good space up here and here, right?
Right. Perfect. That's perfectly said, man. It's just all about staying connected.
What I want to move into next is the sponsorship aspect of our program, because when I was in treatment last spring, someone, I shared that I have worked the steps multiple times, but I keep relapsing, and I don't know why this happens to me. And then someone told me that I was a thief, an AA thief. I was taking from the program and not giving anything back, and that really struck a chord with me, because it was something that I never pursued actively, was sponsoring another man and taking him through the steps.
For sure.
And after that point, I got involved with you guys, started working with you guys, and saw that there was a connection to that. Paulie, can you tell us how important sponsoring other men is for you?
It's the only thing. It's the only reason I'm here for 33 years. Is doing something else for another human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I tell people all the time, is use your innermost strength and faith for the better of humanity, right?
That's right.
So, we gain this knowledge, right, from doing this work. And if we don't share that knowledge, all we are is a thief of the program.
Like me.
It happens. It happens. A lot of people are just comfortable with going to a meeting and taking up a chair.
Yep.
People stay sober and dry for years that way. But, where are you spiritually? What are you doing for someone else? Look, I know very good people that lived that way and eventually fell on their face.
I agree.
And just threw years and years of sobriety away because in the end they were still selfish.
That's right. It's true. Joe, how is sponsoring other men benefited you in your recovery?
It changed my life. You know, it basically had me from an outsider to an insider, right? I mean, to sponsor another person, to allow someone to have the confidence in you to help them get to a point where their hands is in God's hands. There's no other feeling in the world like that. You know, there's no other feeling in the world to be able to see the light bulb go off in somebody else's life, right? I think that's the first time for me that I realized how selfish I really was before that. You know, I know that selfishness and this self-centeredness that I have, you know, in order to get out of that, somebody else has to be more important than myself at that particular point. And what sponsorship does, sponsorship allows me to really step outside of myself and to be able to live, you know, and help somebody else get to a point in their life where somebody took the time out, like Paulie took the time out to help me, right? So, you know, it's miraculous, man. Like it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, you know, to be a part of someone and you see their, that the change that happens, that God makes happen in those lives is nothing like it, you know, and that's the reason why I have 9.5 years sober as well. Like if I wasn't sponsoring anybody, believe me, I'll be getting high too, man, you know. So I am extremely grateful for sponsorship. I'm extremely grateful to be sponsored. Like all of that is very important in sobriety and being able to live free. It's very important, man. You know.
Absolutely,
Mark. Well, sponsoring like another man, like that was really the only thing that I haven't done right after I finished my steps. Like that was one of the main reasons why I would always get 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and I would fall. Like I would relapse all the time. And if someone would have told me like, yeah, after you were done finishing your steps, you're gonna take someone else through their steps, and I'm like, yo, go screw yourself. Like there's no way I'm gonna be able to do that. Not only to have the confidence in myself to do that, but like I just wouldn't trust myself to like get someone through their steps. Like it just wasn't in my favor to do that, like for me. And like the way Higgy said it, like I just felt like I wouldn't be able to do it. Like there would be like I can't imagine like the amount of sponsors I had. Like if they weren't there, like I wouldn't even know where I would have been. Like at some point, Paulie sponsored me, you know, and if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be, you know. And like the way even Joe said it, like to think that like you're like being so selfish, like someone's taking you through the steps, right, and they're giving it to you so like freely to you, right, and it would be selfish of you not to give it away. Like that's what the program is stated for you to do. Like we're never really finished doing the steps, right? Like steps 12 and like 10, 11, 12 is always going to be there. Like you always have to keep doing that. And if you don't, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you could try to stay sober, but you might be miserable through all that time. And like, for me, like I haven't found any other way but to take another man like through their steps. And if evidently, like even when I'm doing the steps, like with someone else, I'm going through them again, like myself, you know what I mean? Like every time I take someone else through the book, like I'm always finding new things that I could talk about, new things that I'm learning every time. And to know that like I'm actually growing from doing something that was given so freely to me, like is insane. Like I would always want something in return, like money, anything, you know what I mean? But the fact that I'm sober today by the grace of God, and like, I don't know, I can't imagine being anywhere else right now, you know? So that's how I think about that for sure.
You know, in my head, I had such low self-esteem and just low self-worth. I didn't think I had anything to offer anybody else. And I had this irrational fear of screwing somebody up and teaching them the wrong way. When in fact, you don't have to have all of that knowledge, because if you take the people through the steps, you go through the literature, you learn from each other. You create this bond between you and another human being, and you share experiences, and you learn from each other, and you instill that sense of purpose in each other, and God just comes into play and makes it all work. you really can't mess up somebody that's already messed up. In my opinion, what I found out, it's about creating a connection, a bond, allowing God to come into the mix of it and just work. And it just does. It works that way, doesn't it, guys?
100%.
Absolutely.
And then having other men that are knowledgeable. See, we actually sponsor each other through all this. We love and support each other, and we were always available for each other to ask questions, bounce ideas off of. You guys have been really valuable in my life. And, I want to encourage other people out there that are just, contemplating maybe, taking this journey of recovery, doing the 12 steps, or if somebody has relapsed, please come back, because I'm that person that, gets time built up and then the wheels fall off. Well, for me, the sponsorship piece was a missing piece for me, and I do that, now regularly, and I work with other men and women that are sponsoring as well. So just that feeling of camaraderie, that connection, the bond, it's just such a powerful tool in my recovery today, because the opposite of addiction is connection, and through sponsorship, the networking, the fellowship, it brings it all together into a cohesive set of a way to live life productively.
Facts.
Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
Did
No,
we
but
lose
you're right.
Mike?
What's up, Paulie?
Did we lose Mike?
Yeah, he lost his connection and jumped off.
Yeah. All right.
Say goodbye.
All right, I gotta go. But thank you guys for having me. And Paulie, Joe, I'll see you soon. All right.
All right, Mark.
All right,
Hey,
brother.
Mark,
Thanks,
it's nice seeing you.
You too, brother.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks for ducking out early.
Yeah,
Before we even get to pray out. So, Joe, what are the blessings in your life today because you've taken this path in life?
What'd you say? Say that again one more time, Higgy.
What are the blessings of recovery in your life today?
Oh, blessings. Oh my God, man. Like, listen, just the awareness, man. Being able to, wake up every day with a purpose. I know a lot of times, we look at life and material things matter the most to, some of us, in our daily, the material makes us think, gives us this perception of who we are. But to feel spiritually alive inside and to have the idea that, you can get through just about anything in life is a feeling that I've never had before, man. So the blessings of just being able to be woke and not be dead inside, not have a feeling of being purposeless, right? Being able to understand that I can be a benefit, an asset to somebody, knowing what the liability and that asset, those two categories, what it means. And then I understand, like, when I'm in a bad spot too, and I'm spiritually like broken in a minute, that there's some things that I can do to get out of that, bro, and not necessarily go take a drink or a drug. So the blessings of just being sober is a miracle in itself. You know what I mean? Like, being able to just, enjoy life for what it is, and sometimes, like for a guy like me too, I can become ungrateful in a lot of areas of my life as well. Right. But then I recognize that, you know what, man, I've been in some horrible fucking situations, man. And it ain't nothing compared to this life I've had in recovery, man. It's nothing compares to this, bro. You know what I mean? So I'm just happy that God chose me to do this. You know what I mean? Like, because if it wasn't for that, nigga, I'd be dead somewhere, bro. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Buried in somebody's prison, man. You know what I mean? That was the type of life I was living, So I'm blessed, man. Extremely blessed, bro. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Paulie.
Yes, sir.
What are the blessings in your life because you've chosen this path in recovery?
Oh God, man, there's just so many. First and foremost, God and you guys.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, today I have a relationship with God like I could never imagine in my life. You know, and you know, you guys have heard me say this a gazillion times. Um, is that the majority, or no, I'm not going to say all of my spiritual growth has really come through some of the greatest pains that I've experienced during sobriety. And what I mean is that, you know, I've had a lot of shit happen over the 33 years. You know, it wasn't unicorns and rainbows, man, you know, but the thing is that all those things that I used to get drunk and high over, uh, all those years ago, uh, and used to use excuses to get high, I didn't have to do it anymore.
Absolutely.
Are you guys still here? Oh,
Yeah.
there you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, it talks about it in the book. You know, can we find peace and serenity through calamity? You know, and you know, and I've been able to do that because regardless of what's happened in my life or what's going on, you know, I sit back and I pause, right? And I allow things to be the way they are. I don't exercise my will no more. I allow God's will to unfold for me, you know, and even through painful stuff that takes place in my life, you know, there's you know, always an answer in it. You know, sometimes those answers may be painful, you know, but there's growth that comes with that, you know, especially if we don't get high or we don't get drunk.
That's right.
You know,
You know, if we stay clean and sober, we can do and be anything we want. You know, anything is not out of our reach. You know, it's just it's such a good life to live without all the negative consequences.
I had a phone call from, you know, someone today, you know, that was really going through a hard time, you know, over a relationship, you know, and I basically said to them, you know, and it was basically something that I had written, you know, and I said, look, you know, sometimes, you know, the hardest part is when people come into our life, right? We can't hold on to them forever sometimes, you know, and that has to do with, you know, even when people pass away, you know, I know very good friends of mine have a hard time, you know, of finding, you know, a way of pushing forward and living, you know, and we can't hold on to things forever, you know, and in that, you know, God will bring people into our life, you know, and sometimes the lesson, we learn a good lesson, and sometimes that lesson can be painful. But the hardest part in all that is acceptance. Can I accept it? You know, and it's you know, it's really, you know, and look, the lesson is that, you know, sometimes, you know, maybe God's message and all that is that we have to learn to let go of something that we really love.
Yes.
You know, and it's not about giving up in the end, right? It's about learning how to let go.
That's right.
And being able to move on.
Getting
You know, so
getting some closure on some things.
yeah, you know, so I you know, and it look, this didn't happen overnight for me, you know, but each thing and each challenge in my life, you know, had made me look at things differently, you know, and
Yeah.
all it did was enable me to be able to be more supportive and more understanding and more empathetic for somebody else that's sitting in front of me that needs some help too.
That's right. It's true. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to add?
Well,
I just want to say, I just want to thank you before we get off of here, man, for like having me on, man. I really appreciate you, Higgy, for this. To for the spotlight and awareness of some drug addiction and alcoholism, and understanding what that really means to me. So I want to thank you again, man, just for having me on and giving me the opportunity to do this, bro. So thank you very much, man.
I'm gonna have you on in the next week or so you can share your testimony. You have an amazing testimony of overcoming the horrors of addiction and the collateral damage that that started out for you at a very young age. It's very inspirational. So I'm gonna have you on to share that testimony.
All right, just let me know.
Absolutely. Polly.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Higgy.
I love you.
Sorry I was late, but I had to run and help out around the corner.
Duty calls. We gotta do what we gotta do. Being able to do this on this platform is a blessing. But this is what I've learned is doing things like this is a bonus to my recovery. My personal recovery has to come first. Social media is a bonus for my recovery. My personal recovery has to come first, or I'm useless to everybody, including myself. So thank you.
I'm really proud of not only you, Higgy, but everybody, Joe, and everybody in the family, because there's we're all looking at some really crazy times right now, and we got a very large sponsorship family, and everybody is staying clean despite the obstacles that stand in our way,
Right.
And I'm really, really proud of everyone. I just can't even say that enough,
I agree. Thank you for that.
Well,
all right, we're gonna end this right at an hour. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Sorry for the technical issues which are ongoing because of the excess amount of users on the internet and Facebook, the broadcasting platform. But this turned out really well. So thank you guys for being here. Thanks for being in my life and loving me.
Love you, man.
So good night, everyone.
All right, good night, brother. All right.
Night.